Good evening, folks, and welcome to this week's episode of Beer Reading with Sean Connors. And today is actually the start of hockey season here in Canada. Plus, I'm wearing the Toronto Maple Leafs jerseys. Go Leafs, go! All right, I'm gonna give my glass a quick cold water rinse as per usual. Then we'll pour it up. We'll talk a little bit about it and go from there. Now, the beer I have today, as you see, the name of it is Three Seasons. So once I pour it up, I'll just give the can a quick cold water rinse. And this is a local beer from my area in Newfoundland, Eastern Canada. Alright, so the can, or reading from the can, it's Quidi Vidi Brewery. We'll talk about that in a second. I actually did a couple of reviews so far of a couple of their different beers. I think it was the Day Boil and the Iceberg Ale. And this one is called Three Seasons. It's 5.1% alcohol. The style of beer is a saison, which I'll talk about in a minute. And it says, an honest ode to a lost season. We get all kinds of weather, but seasons. We've been waiting 500 years for a proper spring. Thankfully, this classic saison heals all wounds. Dry, crisp, and slightly tart. It's as refreshing as the snow in June. Now this is kind of a, actually on the label itself they also have a couple little symbols there. I'll just zoom in so you can see them. And it's pretty well a symbol of the three seasons we get in Newfoundland, being winter, fall, and summer. As you can see there, there you go. So basically, if you're not familiar with Newfoundland, we're on the east coast of Canada, and one thing we're known for is pretty shitty weather. And we seldomly get a spring. It's normally winter, and then we go straight to summer, a short summer that we get. Alright, so it's golden color. It's quite carbonated, and we'll talk about that in a second. Now quite a bit of head. Different aroma, not quite sure what it is. It's tasty. Flavorful, I'll give it that much. As I said, I'm not sure what to make of it. It's a saison, that's a style of beer, and I'll talk about that in a second. 5.1% alcohol, so it's average, maybe a little bit. I think regular beer is 4.5, 5, so in the range. Quidi Vidi Brewery, which is in St. John's, Newfoundland. Quidi Vidi is a fishing village inside the city itself, so if you ever get the chance to go down there, by all means check it out. They started in 1996. I'm pretty sure it was the first microbrewery or craft brewery here in Newfoundland. It's a pretty active spot actually. They have a regular kitchen party, and that's basically booze and music on, I think it's Friday evenings. They have a day boil, once again, music and beers. Saturdays they do different tours. They're pretty active in the community for a craft brewery. And I've told this story on the other reviews I did for Quidi Vidi Breweries. It's a couple of engineers started it when they were in university. And they actually started brewing beer while they were living in the residence. And they were brewing the beer in the janitor's closet. And basically what happened, they went away for a weekend. The janitor found the brew. He drank it, got drunk, got fired, and the boys got kicked out of residence. So once I got kicked out of residence, I graduated and went down to start a brewery. Geez, it's a unique taste. It reminds me of something, I just can't put my finger on it. Alright, anyway, I said it was a saison, and the word saison is a French word for season. That's three seasons, so there you go. And it's actually, the style of beer was originally what they call a farmhouse ale out of Belgium, specifically the French-speaking area of Belgium, which I believe is southern Belgium, and Wallonia, I believe it is. I'm probably pronouncing that wrong, so if I am, excuse me for that. The saison actually was a beer. It was a seasonal beer in that it was actually brewed near the end of winter for summer drinking. And this is pre-refrigeration, so that was normally the time of year that was best for brewing beer. And they actually brewed it specifically for three reasons. For the summer workers, which are normally migrant workers, basically to quench their thirst, so it was meant to be a thirst quencher. Basically, they also wanted spent grain for the cattle, so that was what was left over. And the third reason is basically the farmers, it was a slow season for them, so it gave them something to do. Now, as a farmhouse ale, basically that means it was brewed by farmers on their farms. So the thing about saison traditionally, you could get some that were light, some that were dark, some that were amber, some that were highly carbonated, others that weren't carbonated much at all. Some could be hoppy, other ones could be spicy. It depended almost entirely what the farmer had and what he had available to use in his beer. If he didn't have hops, he would use spices. If he didn't have barley, he would use another grain. So from one area of southern Belgium to the other, from one farm to another, the beer could be totally different. Nowadays, it's a little bit different, and saisons mostly, you're going to get from your microbreweries, your craft breweries, and they all kind of got some general things that they try to keep consistency for a saison. And generally, you're going to get a saison. It's going to be pretty refreshing. A lot of times, it's going to be a little bit cloudy like this. It's a nice gold color, but it's a little bit cloudy because a lot of times it's not filtered. It can be, but usually it's not, from my understanding. It does a second fermentation in the can or the bottle, whatever the case may be. So it's generally refreshing, generally fairly light drinking, light bodied, generally fairly dry. You're not going to, and it's highly carbonated, which you've seen the head that I poured in it. Quite often you're going to get fruit notes, a lot of times orange citrus type of things, but you could also get spicy clove or pepper. I'm not quite sure what I'm getting with this. It's unique. Usually the alcohol content is anywhere from 4.5 to 8%. So some of them are a little bit higher, and one of the reasons for that, it was to act as a preservative. As I said, originally the saison were brewed before refrigeration, so they had to last until the summer, so they would higher alcohol content as a preservative. And if hops were available, a lot of times they would add extra hops also as a preservative. So there you go, that's a little background on the saison and Quidi Vidi Brewery. Now to give this one a rating. It's not a bad beer. It's definitely not one of my favorites. There's something about the aroma and the taste that is just slightly turning me off. Not that I'm not enjoying it, but something there, it's kind of like, I'm not quite sure what it is, but it's not something that I would prefer in my beer, and I just can't put my finger on it. It'd be interesting if you pick up a cup. I know my buddy John, he messaged me last night. He had one in his fridge, so I'm curious what others might think. So, John, if you tried it, let me know what you think. Whatever the smell is, I think it's a spice or something. I'm not quite sure. Okay, to give it a rating, as per normal, a 1 is I'm not going to finish it. I can't drink it. A 2 is not a fan, but I'll drink it. I'm not going to waste the beer. A 3 is a good beer, an okay beer. A 4 is a very good beer. And a 5 is the best beer ever. This one, I think I'm comfortable giving it a... I'm contemplating between a 2.5 or a 3. I'm definitely going to finish it. In fact, I have a second one in the fridge, so I'm going to finish that one tonight. So, would I go out and get some more of them? I don't think I would actually go out and buy more of them. However, if I was at a party or whatever and somebody gave me one, I'd drink it easily enough. So I think with that being said, I think I'm comfortable giving it probably a 3. I was leaning towards a 2.5, but it's not a bad beer, don't get me wrong, but I think a 3 is comfortable. It's a good beer. I'll finish it. I'll have another one. If I ever come across them again, by all means, I'd have them. So there you go, folks. That's my rating for the Quidi Vidi 3 Seasons Saison beer. 3.0. I think that's reasonable. So there you go, folks. Until next beer, enjoy responsibly. Go Leafs, go. Cheers.